Good morning, everybody. We are here. We are live. It is Thursday, the 9th of September. Oof. Before you blink, it's going to be Christmas. I hate to say that, but you know it's true, right? Like you're going to be looking at the year and you'll be going, so what did I want to achieve this year? Oh, shit, there goes the year. Sorry, we're not going to be able to achieve anything. Sorry, it's done. You've got nothing done. You had a bullshit year, and you're going to be going, what? We just started.
No.
What the hell happened here?
I think we got a whole lot more done this year.
Yeah, that's what I knew you would get this straight away because you're used to this. You're like, and I think things go faster the busier you are. Like, I think the only people who ever have lots of time on their hands are people who are bored.
And doing absolutely nothing.
Lebang, good morning.
Morning.
We have a full house this morning. Lebang Khosana, we've got Pumi Mashigo, I've already mentioned, is going to be on the show with us today and with us on the Burning platform a little bit later on. And Bulelo is in the studio in Johannesburg, keeping things afloat along with Simpiwe and Khomolemo. And we've got a hell of a show for you this morning. We've got lots of things to get into. We've got some emails that are quite controversial, and we've got two guests which are going to both be running head-to-head. You know, the other day we had the two people who are running for Herman Mashaba's Action SA, Herman Mashaba himself, and the DA's mayoral candidate for Johannesburg, Paul. And the two of them are not the best of friends. They argued through about an hour of each other's time on Thursday last week or the week before. And this week we've got the two DA and the Good Party mayoral candidates, the most likely
it's
people.
Not DA.
Not
It's a new party.
Oh, are you being sarcastic? Because I understood it was.
No, I am not. He guy.
Oh, sorry. Okay, we got Brett Herron and Neil de Beer were the two people who are running for mayor of Cape Town. So it's a new party and the Good Party.
We're on a whistle stop tour, guys. We might have to get the KZ, the Durban candidates soon.
I'm relying on you, Pumi. You go to KZN every other week, so you're the one to line those people up. All right.
I was about to say, you guys doing like those debates? Is this what's happening on the Burning platform now? Just having like, all of the candidates going head to head every single week. Just own the space, guys. It's yours.
You remember those ones that Vuyon Boli would do on SABC? Good morning to both of our candidates this morning. And then he'd have them go head to head.
Yeah, Reedy now does the big debate.
She does.
Leading up to elections.
Bulelo and I were talking about Reedy going after Duduzile Zuma the other day. Yo.
It was actually Dudu who started it. It's Dudu who started it, though.
But did you watch that?
Yo.
What am I missing?
Violence.
Okay, so
violence on the timeline.
Somebody's going to have to tell Lebang what happened there, because
please bring me up to speed.
If you missed this thing, you see, that's the nice thing about Twitter is like everybody gets into a froth about what happens on Twitter, but like 3 days later, no one even remembers.
It's like I'm still busy listening to Donda versus Certified Lover Boy, and other things are happening. What else could be happening?
Well, I always say to companies,
my money dissing Donda. That's what could be happening.
That was very, very funny. I love that.
We barely started the show. We're like 3 or 4 minutes in, and already we've got like massive controversies mounting. All right. First of all, I always talk to companies and say to them when they're in some kind of social media issue, I say to them, just wait. In fact, Pumi, that was your advice to me. I remember when you sat me down, like, was it 5 years ago or whatever, when I was going through that shit with Mnet and everything, and you said to me, just wait this round out. Just like sit down. You think you've been knocked out, but you're going to get back up. Just sit it out. And I remember that was the best advice I received. And the same thing applies to all these companies. They shit themselves about something that happens on Twitter. Like they're 5 people, and then it becomes 20 people, and they start thinking their whole business is crumbling. And the next week, no one even remembers what it was about. So Duduzile started the whole thing. She went after Reedy Tlabi because Reedy You remember Reedy wrote that book about Fezeka, the girl who Jacob Zuma is supposed to have raped,
Supposedly raped, yeah.
That was found not guilty. Anyway, Reedy was the brave woman who went and found her story, told her story, and decided this is not good enough. This is another example of how men just become the leads in these horrible tales, and the women just get stamped all over and run all over. And she told the story, I think, quite passionately and compassionately. Anyway, she ended up in this fight with Duduzile about the quality of the character of Jacob Zuma, and both of them were throwing really mean, really vicious comments at each other about, so Duduzile made the allegation that Reedy had been to visit Jacob Zuma when she was a journalist, and that something more might have happened, which I think is a hell of a thing to say about, first of all, your father. Yeah, and second of all, someone like Reedy, who you know is not going to just take that lying down.
Yeah, Reedy's not about that life.
Yep. And it escalated from there to the point where both of them were basically saying, you are just trash, and don't say that about me because you don't know what you're talking about. And then
obviously all the bots climb in, right? So everybody's like the fighting force, that everything that the young twin puts out there, everything just, it was hectic, guys. It was hectic. And then all the people that support Reedy, everybody posting pictures of themselves with Reedy, going, Reedy's actually unstoppable. She's actually unstoppable. She just wants everybody. Look at her in this picture with me, wanting me.
because
Man, this sounds chaotic.
Oh, it was, but it's
it was messy. It was messy.
I promise you, right now, we're the only ones who are talking about it. There are not a lot of other people who are, because it's 4 days later or 3 days later. So it shows you how quickly people move on.
Yep.
In all this rubble, Gatlejo has re-emerged, by the way. Shout out to the Outsurance people. Yeah, by the way, he's back. He did a whole... Yeah.
Really?
He's back on the
Didn't we
socials.
cancel him?
Nah.
What did he? What has he done? Seriously, because I'm pleased to hear that.
We definitely let go of him. Like, it was a wrap. We all said goodbye to Lulu with your gown. Off you go.
Nah. Black Twitter gets tired. They'll move on to the next thing. There's always a new pair of sneakers or whatever people are up to out there. So he's back in the mix. Shout out to Katlejo.
But is he getting gigs though? Is he actually,
I know he was on a stage last week. For somebody I know hired him. So he's
good.
Back. Like you said, good. Yes, good. Yes, good. He should never have been fired in the first place.
Exactly.
Yes.
I mean, really interesting. Okay.
That lady, let's be charitable. That lady who went after him and published all that very embarrassing material about how he had brought an STD into their relationship, or he cheated.
I thought it was her brother.
Yeah, wasn't it the brother or the brother's sister's girlfriend's cousin's aunt's relative? Definitely somebody in the cut.
Guys,
someone
you know what
someone recorded that video and put it out there. So
that was brilliant though. That was funny.
But you know what I've realized Twitter is like? Twitter is like a really messy family. Like, we're all in this messy family together. They're like they're the boozy uncles, they're the shouty, gossipy aunts,
the rich auntie.
Like, we're all in this messy family. And when you have a lot of people at a family gathering, like, shit is bound to go down. That's what happens on Twitter. We're like, I'm telling you guys, it's like,
and we're just walking in and out of different rooms, like in the kitchen when it's time to cook with Tito Mboweni. Then we go to the lounge when we need to listen to what Cyril has to say, and then we go to sleep, and then it's messy. People are bumping into each other. It's just chaos. That's why every single morning it's just violence. It's violence. Like, at some point, I can't wait for the word violence to phase out of like being a Twitter trend, because it's just a bit of a lame term. It has to though.
You'll never.
Snaye says he's apparently, this is Katlejo, he's suing his ex, her brother, the SAFTAs, and some NGO for reputational damage. That's pretty interesting stuff. I hope so. Apparently 4 million rand. Yeah, but here's the problem, is that if you launch a legal action like I did against Mnet, remember, it costs you, even if you win, it costs you a lot of money.
It's expensive.
And it takes time. So, a guy who's at that stage, he'd lost all his gigs. What's he gonna? Who's he? What money is he gonna use to sue people? Now he has reason to, and he's going to. And I'm proud of him. Good, take them down, because just like those boozy uncles that Pumi refers to on Twitter, and all the messy people on social media, those people can't be allowed to just get away with shit. I mean, you saw even with the looting and the riots, there were all these people who were the ringleaders, and now they're starting to find them. Who knows if they've, if this is just a politically expedient move on the part of some very, very nefarious operatives. But the reality is, like, people have to be responsible. Even if you're an anonymous egg on Twitter, we must be able to track you down and hold you for your comment. Honestly, because if famous people like Katlego have to be held responsible for what they do and say, then so should ordinary people. And that will clean up a little corner of that house that Pumi rightly says is so messy. It'll clean it up to the point where everyone in the family realizes, oh, people are watching us. We better behave. We better not.
I think somebody needs to be made an example of, because right now everybody's just running their mouths, or shall I say fingers, just a bit too much. And it's seemingly like there's no consequences for the things that you say. So if one person, just one, can be made an example of, then maybe people will reconsider the stuff that they post online, because there's absolutely no accountability for some of the things that are being said.
It's correct. Can't argue with that.
Toxic.
So here's an interesting point, and lots of people agreeing with Pumi's idea that Twitter is actually just a very toxic family, which is probably the best consideration we've given it for a long time. Sub says he broke the man rule, deny. He snitched on himself on camera. That makes no sense. and Tracy points out, like, a good advocate will cost you between 15,000 and 30,000 rand a day. And they don't just work for a day. They're there for much longer than a day.
Now you know why Dali shows up for every case he's called to.
Ka-ching.
A lot of Tom, huh? A lot of Tom.
Hey, Pums, who do you think is earning most of the money from, first of all, any of these commissions of inquiry, whether it's the Zondo Commission or anything else? Because those lawyers are not
the lawyers.
And the lawyers are doing nothing for free. Nothing.
They never do.
No.
If it looks like it's free, it's probably promotional. It gets them more work on the other side. So it's like...
Exactly.
They make tons of money.
The same goes for when there's a divorce or when there's a contractual breakdown in a relationship that's business.
You know who else makes a lot of money out of all of those commissions and stenographers?
I don't know. I think they get a standard fee from the court, don't they?
Stenographers are there all day, every day, from the jump. And then afterwards, when all the recording is done, all of the transcriptions, come on, guy. That is, even if it's a standard fee, it's a hang of a lot of money.
And it's so much work. I mean, they have to sit there typing and trying not to fall asleep through some of the most boring testimony. I mean, how many people do you know, except for Pumi Mashiko here, who have watched as much of the Zondo Commission as she has? And you haven't even watched a quarter of it. Imagine being the person who has to type all that shit out while it's happening live in court. I would fall asleep straight away.
But you know that it's also those jobs, the non-glamorous jobs that actually make a lot of money.
Pay.
But like, you're an actor, you're getting like 5,000 rands a day or something, in Mzansi at least.
I was about to say 5,000 only in SA.
You're like getting 5,000. Because we don't have a big audience. Like musicians, you see what happens to musicians. The glamorous jobs ain't that guy that's making the nuts and bolts.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that guy's making money.
Every single thing that's got a nut and a bolt in it. Come on.
Yep.
Stenographers, don't sleep on it.
I had a bit of an ulterior motive this morning by waking Puela Bang up and making her join us. I wanted her to meet Pumi, but I also thought it would be a fun kind of, cat among the pigeons, because we are going to change up the show again soon. And the days may change, and Bulelo might not be here every morning going forward. So I wanted to just, throw some new ingredients into the mix of food that we all indulge in the mornings. And you must let us know, please, what you'd also like to hear more of. We're always keen to hear from you. You can do that. Just send me an email, gareth@cliffcentral.com. So I got this email from Barcelona, someone called Karen. Karen says, "Hey, Gareth and team. I avoid news as much as I can because you can't trust it and it's depressing as fuck." Those are actual words. "I signed up to your newsletter back in the day and skimmed over it now and then. When the looting happened, I found myself clicking on your podcast and have been listening daily ever since." So this is a new listener. Welcome, Karen. "Boy, have I been missing out on years of good stuff. Living in Barcelona, but proudly South African, it is comforting and a great connection with home to listen to you guys every day. I have realized that I have the same views as you do on some things, and it's reassuring that someone with your status thinks about the same that I do with regards to lockdown, COVID, social media, crime, government, that kind of thing. I listen to the show while I walk in the streets to do errands, as you do here on the metro, and I find myself laughing out loud. You crack me up. That must be a nice life. I actually know someone who's just moved to Barcelona, and I think that must be a great place to live. There are not a lot of places in the world you can say that about, but I fell in love with that place the first and only time I saw it, and I think
Look what I'm wearing today.
I'm jealous. Oh, there we go. You're wearing your Barcelona. Nice. So, Karen says, "I'm learning so many things listening to you guys. I learned about the Devilsdorp murders the other day and mukbang," which, yes, we've covered both of those subjects. "And lastly, your show was always my favorite as a teenager when I used to listen. You were on radio. And I remember going to a party in Edward Street in Cape Town where you were DJing. The good old days." Nice. So, Karen, nice email. And you can tell us what you want more of, what you think you like less of. And we will take it all seriously and see what we can do to keep jumping up on the quality standard. And I know Bulelo's doing the same with what's going on Cliff Central Sport. What do you got on this afternoon, Bulelo? You've always got good shit happening there.
Yeah, we've got Kerry Keating, so we have him every Thursday. We'll talk all things college sports, and so he's the second in a dynastic family who changed the shape of Kansas University. So yeah, he'll be joining us every Thursday. If you're into the NBA, college football, he was a legendary college college basketball coach himself. So a little bit of that.
And you met him through another listener of ours. So this is what happens on this show.
Yeah.
Connections.
An avid listener, a fan of yours, Gareth. So.
Very good. Well, listen, the more people we can bring to the family, the better. And remember to like and subscribe, people, because we do not do this for our health.
Smash the like button.
You have to do the voice as well.
Go do it properly for us then. You know how this goes.
I'm always your lab rat, and I'm here for it. Thank you so much for listening to watching our channel. So please make sure that you like and subscribe so you get all the updates. Here's the buttons right here. Put the button on, and thank you. Hey, I love you.
I love it. It's exactly right. That's how it goes. So, what's been happening, Pumi?
Guys, I think I have to like rush upstairs to check if my child woke up for school. I don't think he's awake. I can't hear a damn thing. I'll be back now.
We understand. We'll let you go and do that. No worries. So while Pums is doing that, I believe that it has been for you anyway. It's been a bit of a rough time, Lebang, because the debt collectors, or rather the people who are after your bills, are after you, which is not an unusual situation for many of us, especially in the middle of the month and towards the beginning of the month when you haven't necessarily sorted out all those bills. So this is the worst thing. I hate it when I look at my phone on the first, second, third, and you just see those amounts coming off.
And you just sit and you're like, okay, I recognize that. And then you start to not recognize a few, but it happens all the damn time. So I just don't understand why they call at 7 o'clock in the morning, number one. Like, I'm definitely sleeping. You can call me at around lunch. I've got a life or something. And then even on Saturdays, they'll call it like 8 a.m. And you're like, guys, what do you think I'm doing? In your opinion, I know you're at work, but what do you think I'm doing? Am I just sitting around waiting for this call? So long story short, a couple of years ago, I got majorly, like hugely scammed. I think out of something close to like 40,000 rand. And in that situation, out of desperation, it was quite sad. I don't even want to get into it because I might cry. So out of desperation, I ended up going to a cell phone company and taking out like 2 contracts right there on the spot because I needed to make up for having gotten scammed. So cool, everything was fine for like the first year when I was working, and then I got retrenched. And then the phone calls started coming in. Boom. I was like, all right, cool. Let's make a plan. And things were okay. So now I'm still paying that debt off. And there's times when I'm just like, I did collect, I've got Truecaller. I can see it's you calling me. I'm not going to answer this call because I know what you want. I know you want your money and I don't have money. So what must happen, you know? But yesterday I answered. And I answered the call. I'm like, hi, I called them by name because I've got their name. All their numbers are saved. Hi, Smug Mungs Association, how are you? And then the lady was like, hi, this is Lisa from, I'm like, I know. Let's get to the point. You want your money? I'll send it on the 15th. Thank you, bye. The end. No, but I need to read out. I know what you're going to say because I've had this conversation so many times. So I'm just at that point where I'm like, man, can I just like not have to deal with these people? Their timing is just always off. Like right now, I won't be surprised if they call immediately, like right now.
But this is what they do because the people who, I think there's like a code that they all follow. There's something they subscribe to. And in that code, it says, always call at the time when you know they're cooking supper, they're waking up, they're still asleep, over a weekend on a Sunday morning at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
In the unsuspecting moments, that's when you catch them.
What in the Nazi is going on? Like I don't think it's cool at all. I'm at the family table having dinner with you barge in the door looking for your money. I just think there's a way that you can get it out of me. And it's a bit invasive for me.
But they do it on purpose because then you're not thinking about it. You just usually pick up your phone because you've got a bunch of stuff happening, or you've just woken up and you don't know what the hell's going on. You think, oh, emergency. And that's when they get you. If you have a moment to think about it, they obviously they know that you're going to just ditch the call right there. And
then. No, for sure.
Yeah, but also they're just doing a job. So it always helps to just kind of be like, thank you for calling. Did y'all get paid last month? Well, somebody else's turn this month. Like, just wait in line, sit down.
And I'm surprised, even with your Truecaller, that you know it's them, because Jean is pointing out, and it's a good thing, like the fact that they call from so many different numbers is even more annoying. I don't have, what I get is the insurance salespeople and the cell phone people who are like, do you want to upgrade your contract? But like every single month without fail, I get that call.
The pre-recorded messages.
Oh.
The pre-recorded messages. The one thing I'm so happy about this like local election is I'm not getting like the pre-recorded Musi Maimane. Hello.
That was such a bad move. I wonder how many votes, because you see the politicians think, well, if we can just get in front of them, they'll love us because they sew up their own asses. But the fact is, if you're enjoying your day, and maybe you're not even enjoying your day. Maybe you're just busy and you actually don't have time for this shit. And you get, hi, this is Musi Maimane. If you want to vote for me. And I mean, do me a favor. Like, first of all, it wasn't just Musi. There were others as well. But he was the most annoying. Somehow thinking.
How did they get my number?
But also, number one, let's start there.
And thinking, well, apparently we're all on databases and you can buy our numbers. So.
Yeah.
I thought that this was the whole point of like FICA and like protection of personal information.
Poppy and all that.
Well, I was like, why are you calling me, nigga?
Remember, Poppy only came into play, I think, 2 months or 3 months ago. So that was
but there was something else. There was something else beforehand, before Poppy. So Poppy is an updated kind of version of it. There was like supposed to be some kind of rule against like phoning me up and offering me credit. There was supposed to be there were rules.
Yeah.
Nobody follows them.
They'll always put that in the fine print, like click here if you don't want us to call you for blah blah. You'll click, but really it's all just fluff. They've got your details once you've signed up. Like they literally just put that all into one massive Excel spreadsheet and sell it off to like everybody So it is what it is.
And Onkopot says basically saying what I was going to say. Getting that call actually deterred me from voting for them. See, they think
Really?
it's going to make you want to vote for them. If I can just get my voice on their phone, then they'll all vote for me. Bullshit, you're wrong. Onkopot says right. Like that puts people off. And the
but
other
there's
one
people that it works. Like there's people that will be like, oh my word, Musie's calling me, yes, and that's what they're counting on. Yeah, you know which people, Gareth.
I'm sorry, I don't know who you're talking about because I've never met them. That's fucking irritating and stupid.
You know who I'm talking about. Bulela?
Let the record state I said nothing.
So Jim says they think by calling me for my TV license, they're going to mobilize me into paying it. What would make me pay the SABC for anything? Shame. I just feel sorry for the people who have to make those calls because they're working. It's their job. But they get all the anger and all the vitriol, you know? So you get that call and you think it's the actual SABC you're dealing with, and it isn't. So you're like, what do you want? Go to hell. I'm not paying you over. Blah, blah, blah. Put the phone down. Meanwhile, it's some lady or some guy who's been hired in a big call center, and their job is you have to phone Pumi, you have to phone Lebang, you have to phone Mbolelo.
10 numbers.
Yeah, and that poor person, they brace themselves and they call you, and they know they're going to get shit.
Working in call centers is possibly one of the hardest things, right? That's why they have such a high turnover of staff. But can you imagine? So, you know, it happened to a whole lot of people that work in call centers during the lockdowns, and even now to some extent because of the kind of work from home hybrid, you know, so you don't go into the office every day, is they had to get cell phones and data so that they can reroute. So you're at home in your own bloody house and you have to make these calls anyway. And they get like, you know, you get a list of like your 25 or whatever number of people. They know that this is the script. You should be taking about this amount of money, this amount of time on the phone. Therefore, on an average day, you should call 50 people. Guys, it's like a salt mine.
And there's some really, really horrible people out there. Like some people literally will swear at you and tell you where to get off. So having to deal with that all the time while you're at home in your sanctuary, I'd be pretty like pissed off. At least like when I'm in the office, I can block it out and be like, cool, this is where it's at. Then I leave all of that mess at the office and go home. But now,
but also with lots of other people, like when you're at the call center, there's like you all get the abuse, all doing the same thing, or you know, when you're in your house, you're all by yourself with like homeschooling on the one side and all that. But still,
that a job like that will probably drive you crazy if you do it for too long, because you're not dealing with people who want to hear from you. And even if you think you're strong, Bolelo, I'm going to address this to you because you're a pretty strong character. It takes a lot to get you down. And I mean, I know you don't respond most of the time to negative feedback the way that the average person might, okay? If you had to get that much negativity from people that you don't even know on a daily basis, I mean, like nonstop, and you can't tune it out. Like you can delete Twitter from your phone or whatever, but you can't avoid this because it's your job. It's your actual job. I think it would take a huge toll, don't you?
That's why lawyers don't do anything for free. They're the real ones, because I'm yet to meet anybody who goes to a lawyer when things are going well. Very, very rarely. And even people that get married don't go to the lawyer and say, excuse me, I love this person. Let's write down all the things that are going to happen when it goes well. What do they say in the agreement? In case we get divorced, should the you know what I mean? So it must be murder. It must be the fact that that's your only way to put bread on the table as well is what sucks, you know? Like in
look
our
at Cindy
world.
Siwe.
Yeah, Cindy Siwe says, I literally had panic attacks every day from working in a call center.
Makes sense. It makes sense.
For you, really, that's horrible. That's just horrible.
Yeah.
Stink Mina is saying, Bulelo, thank God we just heard you now, but you're quiet. Are you okay? He's fine. Yondan Digi says, talking about the Poppy Act isn't revealing, and posting people on social media is a crime now. So shouldn't these Twitter rats be charged? Well, you see, like even in a criminal activity, someone has to lay a charge. And if it's a civil activity, then you have to be the one who brings an action. So if you're not going to do that as an individual, nothing happens. Like no one's going to do it for you. So if someone gives you the gears, like poor old Katlejo, which I'm glad is turning the tide. If he didn't decide, okay, I've had enough of this now, I'm fighting for myself, then nothing would happen.
But also, having said that, can celebrities stop whinging about people being mean to them on social media? You don't have to be on social media. Like, get off social media, because people are mean in real life. Like, people are very mean in real life, by the way. And if they haven't been, you're some sort of trust fund kid that's never been in real life. Is get off social media. Stop whinging. Like, I'm so sick and tired of hearing, my mental health because of my Instagram inbox. What? No, we don't do that. We don't do that. Get off social media and go and sit in your cream puff house then. Like, I'm so revolted by us giving celebrities an easy ride now, and athletes. Like, stop. Let's stop now.
This guy.
It's that thing that Gareth always says, that like there's an obsession with being liked. And celebrities, most of them are literally at that place all the time. Have you seen how much they kiss each other's asses on IG in the comments? When you see like your favorite celebrity post something, if you have one, the comments directly underneath is other celebrities going, "Oh my God, you look so perfect. Oh my God, I love this." And you sit there and you're like, come on, it's an okay pick. Come on, Felicia or whoever it is. So they have this crazy obsession with being liked. So if somebody with 20 followers is going to call them out on something, they can't deal with that. How dare that person call them out on their perfect life? So they are just a special breed.
Yep. And there is the problem. Is like these people wake up every day trying to show that their life is perfect. And then when someone treats them with anything but love and respect, they fall apart completely.
They don't know how to act.
You can't have it both.
And Pumi could probably speak to this. I mean, you've got a teenage child. Is that I don't know what's being imbibed into kids now. Is it's like with my little nephew again. Is just because. But by the way, everybody can be mean to you. You're not special. And I think I told you a while ago when my little cousin or nephew started telling me he's under pressure. I'm like, Paul, you live in Eagle Canyon and you went to Hilton College. Honestly, I wanted to smack him through the phone. And then he's like melting, right? It's why I always say, if you can afford it, send your kids to boarding school. Don't pick up the phone because they're going to get smacked by some farm kid, and realize that people can be mean and it's fine. People can be mean. It's fine. So Pumi, for you, I don't know how your child deals with any sort of meanness, because it just seems like immediately, is, oh my God, my mental health. How dare you?
I'm just going to jump in quickly, because Pumi's not the kind of parent who would say to their kid, everything's always going to be fine and everybody's always going to love you and you have a right to be loved. Am I right, Pums? I mean, like, that's step number one. Like, give your child a realistic bit of advice.
So also he's lucky because he's a nice guy. Most of his friends are nice to him. But that's the thing. You just say to him, listen, dude, just like get over it. Also, stay away from those people. If people make you feel bad, stay away from that person. Just don't let them follow you. Block them.
Keep it moving. Yeah.
Like choose your battles. Choose where you want to be, because that you have control over. You have control over you and what you do. You have no control over this person over there or the next person. So you can't make them do what you want them to do. So you have to do something to change your situation. That's like...
Listen, I just saw the time. We got to do some headlines. Do you want to know what's going on in the world? I mean, you leave us alone, we'll keep talking forever about stuff like this. But I've just got to quickly go into some of the news stories, just so that we know what's going on in the world. I don't want us to be the people who are not paying attention, head in the sand, bullshit people. So first of all, this is from IOL, which is a dubious source at best, but apparently senior managers in the eThekwini municipality are in line to receive performance bonuses for their outstanding performance in running the city in the past 3 years. However, the decision has been slammed by opposition parties who described the move as irrational, saying the senior managers were underperforming in their respective roles. I don't know if you've been to eThekwini, Durban any time in the last couple of months, but if that place has been running in an outstanding fashion, then I haven't seen it. So somebody tell me what the hell. outstanding? Does it mean something different to what I think it means?
No, well, what are the targets? We're making this assumption because you're thinking, oh, they've probably got standards like Discovery and HSBC. So I'd like to know, what are the requirements for them to be outstanding? Because maybe the standards are show up on time, and they did that once in 365 days. Sebenzile bafethu, bonus.
Yeah, it really could just be like that. The bar is just incredibly low, and maybe they've gotten a little bit better from last year, a little bit better, and therefore you deserve a bounce in the form of a bonus.
Listen here, bonuses in private sector happen when you perform exceptionally, when the profits have gone through the roof. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they collecting their rates and services? Are they delivering to people? You know, does the bottom line of their municipality does the bottom line look better this year than it did last year? Chances are not. Why? Because we've got an economy that's like not growing. Like that's it. There's no like.
I'm just laughing. I'm still laughing about Mbulelo. Sebenzile baba. Bonus.
Yeah. Yes.
That was probably the conversation.
And listen, black people need to have a conversation. It's real.
It's not just black people. In South Africa, there are a lot of useless white people in jobs as well, whether it's private or public. Public sector, obviously, because the ANC's become like a jobs for pals scheme. So obviously, a lot of ANC people who've been creeping around. I mean, I looked at all those people complaining outside Luthuli House, and you know what? Frankly, whatever work is in Luthuli House, I don't know. I mean, if you ask those people, like, what do you actually do on a daily basis? They probably wouldn't be able to tell you. Like, if you ask, what's your job description at Luthuli House to any of those people, please, can a real journalist go down there and say to them, all right, listen, we're on your side. We don't like it when someone doesn't get paid for the work they've done. Obviously, that's wrong, because you've got bills to pay, you've got family to look after, etc. And you thought you had a job here, but can you just tell the people in South Africa, what job did you have inside Luthuli House? Because we all really want to know. We're curious. So a part of me goes, well, listen, there are a lot of useless people in South Africa who get paid not just their normal salary, but expect that 13th check or that bonus regardless of how they deliver, right? In every company, there's always one or two. In every public sector job, there's even more than one or two. And I think those people we've become a nation that expects like a handout.
Yeah.
Like just for pitching up, Mbulelo, as you said, like you pitch up one day out of 365 and you're like, bonus.
I've made it. And really, Gareth, you're right. It's not a race thing. I know a couple of white people that I went to school with that literally just got out of after matric, went straight into the business because they know somebody who knows somebody, and they do fuck all. But they management in like 2 years, they management, and people that have studied are now working under them. Like it's a South African thing of which we need to just
you've missed my
find
point.
a way.
That it's not about being useless. It's the timekeeping thing. The only black people in this country that I want us to take example from is people that are maids. Maids are always on time, and I have soft middle-class dickheads saying, traffic, but, I say, this lady catches, I've never had a maid who was late. Yeah. She's got 5 taxis, she's 8. She's knocking at the door to let me know she's here, actually. Exactly. Oh, sorry, I'm late, bro. Traffic. You know how it is, bro. Plus the potholes around where I live in 4 is just...
Traffic lights not working.
Do me a favor, pal. Do me a favor. So...
What a lot of shit. Yeah. I couldn't agree more. All right. So talking about the headlines, apparently, according to this story, and, I mean, let's just take it seriously for a second. There is a massive outcry about these eThekwini managers. And the report on the performance rewards was tabled before and approved by a full council. The report scores the official for their performance over 3 financial years, which was 2017, 18, 19. Okay. So they're getting paid, for the years they've already performed outstandingly. Among the people is former city manager Sipho Nzuza, unfortunate name that, and Zandile Gumed, who of course received that very nice tender. So it lists the city manager for human settlement, engineering, and transport, as well as chief operations officer, and the trading services DCM. You see, that's the kind of title nobody really knows what it is. Trading services DCM. district council manager, maybe.
Don't even like hurt yourself. Don't hurt yourself.
So apparently these people are getting these nice big payouts because they are outstanding. That's what they tell us. It's great stuff, that. All right. Didi Mabuza, who I know, Pums, you and I are slightly obsessed with, because how can someone like this, talk about a useless person, be taking their salary as by the way, a deputy president's salary is good money. This guy said the country's economy will perform much better if more people were vaccinated, which may or may not be true, but coming from him, this is probably a bad argument for vaccination, just because it comes from him.
I read that headline a couple of times. I kept reading it and kept, like, thinking something, and then I went into the article, and then
Yes.
I was like, it's perplexing, really. It's crazy.
On Wednesday morning, he led a launch of a government campaign targeted at the sporting and creative industries in Johannesburg. So, Bulelo, you're at the crossover of sporting and creative. Did you get a personal WhatsApp or a recorded phone message from Didi Mabuza? Did he come over to your studio when you were filming the other day and offer to be a guest?
He told me that if we all get vaccinated, on Twitter, he said, if we all get vaccinated, we can fill up the FNB stadium. And Paulo Diaz, shout out to him from the 80s show, said that stadium's never full. So stop lying.
Yeah.
But they did offer. They did say that if you're fully vaccinated, you can get a free ticket to go and watch Bafana Bafana in Ethiopia.
Hey, I would pay to not watch Bafana Bafana. So, in fact, what can I pay to not go there? I'll pay to stay away. Forget going there. No chance. No way.
Yes, you're looking for trouble with people now. Here's something going on now. Imagine being a South African prison. In a South African prison, and I can tell you, those are some of the worst places I've ever been in my life, just because I went there to do a show once at CMAX in Pretoria, right? And let me tell you something. Prisons are not a laughing matter. They are a disastrous place to find yourself, whether you have been wrongfully accused or if you're guilty as sin. I do feel sorry for you, because prison in this country is horrendous. The food is bad. The conditions are appalling. The things that happen to you in there are just unspeakably terrible. And now they say, this is the news from ENCA, there is mismanagement and maintenance problems at least 7 of South Africa's crumbling prisons. According to the African Criminal Justice Reform Organization, they say that the places are dilapidated and there isn't even running water or good sewerage in a prison. It couldn't be worse, frankly. ENCA then showed viewers the dilapidated state of the Joburg Prison's remand center. And you know what correctional services say? Nothing. They say nothing. Because this is not... Do you remember, Pums? You may remember this. I don't know if Lebang and Bulelo are too young to remember Golden Miles Budu. You remember him?
I had a conversation about him just the other day.
So Golden Miles Budu was probably the only person in this country who really got out there and fought for like prisoners' rights, because that's not a popular subject. Most people are like,
he's still around somewhere.
Yeah, I hope
he's
so.
He's still around somewhere in a political party. I think he formed some kind of political formation. But guys,
I mean,
that man was dedicated.
He was, and I understand the argument that, like, if they're prisoners, they should rot. I mean, prison should be unpleasant, but if you haven't been to a prison, you haven't seen a prison, then you probably are blissfully unaware of how absolutely disgraceful the lives of people at that level of society. It doesn't get worse than that. Happen to be, and you need someone with a good conscience, someone who really does care, fighting for those things, because you and I aren't going to do it, right? It's not a popular subject, and nobody really cares. Nobody cares. And that Golden Miles Buddha used to do that stuff. So correctional services just won't even explain themselves. They're not even answering questions. Typical.
You know, there's a show on, I think, Netflix, on like the worst prisons in the world. Like, and they go to all, in fact, it's not worst prisons. They just look at prisons around the world because
I've seen it.
there is one. There's one, and I want to say it's in one of the Nordic countries. That's just like, it's like a hotel. You can go to work and come back.
There's a studio there. There's a library. There's like a kitchen. It's a dormitory. It just feels like a frat house with a bunch of. It's a rehabilitation center, actually.
And the South African prison that they showed was quite bad. It was terrible. But then they went to Lesotho, guys.
Oh, really?
Worse. It gets worse.
The prisoners have to cook for themselves. They cook like the slop that's like rani pap on an open fire in a big pot outside, like one of those drifoots with like the prisoners have to cook for themselves, and it's like beans and pap mixed together. It's prison is not supposed to be a nice place, but it still has to be humane. It still has to be a humane experience. It is, it is some kind of like punishment and rehabilitation. But guys, the things happening out there in the world, and South Africa is just like in the race to the bottom.
It's awful stuff. One last quick. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, there's this other prison that I remember where it's like a 2-in-1. So you decide which part of the prison you want to be at. There's like the really, really crappy side where it's just like open and cold and every man for himself and it's like drug ridden. And then there's the other side where it's like rehabilitation. They're really focusing on turning your life around. So based on your behavior as an inmate, you get to decide, if you want to get upgraded to VIP, if you want to stay, for the rest of your life. And I like that concept because ultimately then it's your choice. It's in your hands. You're still in prison, but you've got the choice of, okay, cool, I want to get out of here a better person, or I'm happy to just remain. So there's different ways to tackle it.
God, how awful. You know what else is awful is that Rihanna, she's been trying to sue her father.
No, enough said. That is awful. Rihanna, that's awful. Yes.
No. Mbulelo, rest.
If that's the headline, that's enough. Yeah.
Mbulelo, rest.
When we started working with Mbulelo, we kept a list of all the things he hates. And that list was so long eventually, we just decided we'd rather make a list of things he doesn't hate. Rihanna and her father are embroiled in a legal battle, and she's finally decided she's going to drop the case a couple of days before they were going to meet in court. So she accused her father of misusing her name to benefit his own entertainment company. She sued him in 2019 for false advertising and invasion of privacy. She also said he had tried to book her on an overseas tour without her permission.
You know who Rihanna should be suing? She should be suing every single hair salon in Joburg CBD because her picture is there as the go-to girl. Like if you go to CBD, Chris Brown, Rihanna, Ludacris, they are the faces that you see. You walk in and you say, I want Rihanna. That's who she should be suing. She should let her dad just do his thing, man.
Funny Rihanna.
Hey, it's...
Is that what they asked
Speaking
for?
Of which,
Rihanna.
Shout out to Britney. Britney's free, by the way. Shout out to that guy a couple of years ago who said, leave Britney alone. Well, her father has just done that. I mean, are we not, at least I am waiting for the meltdown, the Britney Spears meltdown, where she has 18 Teslas, 5 monster trucks. Because now her dad is now obviously he's the conservatorship's over. He's now said, okay, you got what you wanted. Twitter has won. Oh, the Britney Spears meltdown. Here we go. I cannot wait for it. I'm absolutely here for it.
No, man.
It is coming.
She's not going to have a meltdown.
She is a lunatic. If you have seen her,
he is a raving lunatic. He's right. I'm not going to.
I can't wait for it. And now Twitter got what they want. I like it. This is good. Let's do this. Society, let's get in there. Because, the worst thing in the world is getting what you want, my old man always said. So, yes, let's do this, Britney. Let's go for it. You've got all the money. And now her kids are going to have to live there. And then we're going to watch her kids grow up to be Britney. Oh, magnificent. Just magnificent.
I love this. Lesotho is the worst, according to Snay. And this is interesting. Sub says prisons should be for rehabilitation, not punishment. If you punish inmates, they come out angrier and more advanced than the ordinary citizen, and the ordinary citizen shall reap the product of the punishment. Yeah, that's probably true, but in this country, we know for a fact that people come out of prison much worse than when they go in. So, especially if you're like a petty criminal and you get convicted of, like, I don't know, dealing weed or something, something really unimportant to society like that. And they put you in there with those real animals, those monsters. Then that's bound to make you a much worse person when you come out. And Kanda Kulu says, guys, prison in the DRC, people just disappear. Oof.
To where?
Like disappear off the face of the earth, or just disappear out of the prison system? Because then they could have just disappeared back into rotation.
You never hear from them again. Maybe they get turned into food.
Gareth,
it wouldn't be unheard of. It wouldn't be unheard of.
Stop it. Turned into food.
I'm telling you. Michael has a really interesting story. He says, I remember getting a message from the guy who had robbed my house. He asked if I could send him some money for tobacco as there was none in prison. That's when I knew something was not working.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
He robbed your house, asked you for money for tobacco.
He obviously didn't take your phone, but he did take the number. Michael,
if I've been in your house and I've robbed you, we close now. I can ask you for anything. And in prison, tobacco is like a massive currency, like crazy. So he wanted to ball in prison. Michael, I hope you helped him out.
Do you know what the number one currency in prison is right at the moment?
Airtime. Airtime, yeah.
Yeah, airtime is the number one commodity in prison. So if you can get
the number one commodity all over the world.
Yeah, well, that's also true. But I mean, in prison, Lebang is right that before it used to be things like tobacco, or if you could get booze, or if you could get like a knife or whatever it was. Those old school things. Now it's airtime.
Yeah, I always wondered, like, when you're seeing these challenges on the timeline, and you see like 4 guys in prison participating in the ring leader challenge or whatever. It's like, how? Y'all got a cell phone in jail, and like it's not even a thing anymore. I think they should just let it be, because how are guys in prison participating in social media challenges? How?
And also, it's freedom privilege. Maybe the guys, men are men. They probably want to speak to their boo as well. Just because I don't have civil rights doesn't mean I need to be seeing what my baby be up to. Hey, babe.
Well, here's just an aside, and I know we talk about this often on the show, but in some ways, those people who want airtime in the prison are no different to those of us on the outside who spend our whole day on the phone.
Yeah.
Like,
look at that note from Robert Cunningham.
Yeah, what does Robert say? He says, on that, I'm doing work for a smaller distributor of airtime in the informal market. They alone purchase 70 to 80 million rand a day of airtime.
Yeah.
What? Unbelievable. It's nearly R1 billion a week, give or take. I mean, that is what?
And that's the informal market. We're not talking about
contracts.
Captains of industry and their fucking 5 friends who are buying millions of rands worth of airtime. We're talking about small time people, even people who are unemployed, maybe, who are spending 5, 10, 20, 50, 100 rand. And that's what they're buying. They're buying from people like Robert. And he's saying 70 to 80 million rand a day of airtime.
That's like 5 rand airtime, 5 rand, 10 rand, 30 rand.
Count those 5 rands and 10 rands. It's a hell of a lot.
No wonder it's such a monopoly at the top there. These numbers are insane. No wonder it's impossible to get a license.
Yeah,
oh my
that's
God.
It. That's exactly right. Okay, well, it is just about time for us to get to the burning platform, which this morning we'll be joined by Brett Herron and Neil de Beer, who are both running as candidates for the mayoral seat in Cape Town. And we'll find out more about these two gentlemen in a little while. But Lebang, thank you for joining us. I hope that you and Pumi enjoyed your first foray together. You two were unstoppable, which is why I knew that it was a good idea to put you together. But Lebang, we'll catch up with you next week.
Yes, I'll see you guys next week. And 11 o'clock till 12 o'clock, Live with Lebang on Cliff Central.
Yeah, you don't want to miss that today. Life with Lebang. That's another reason I brought you on this morning, is to promo your own show. And we've got a big announcement this weekend about a recording that we did last week, which I kind of hinted at already, but I'm not allowed to tell you who it is yet. You'll find out in the next 2 days. But this is a big interview that we decided we had to get into the bag. And this person is a very important individual who doesn't do interviews.
Yeah, we feel very special. Like the fact that we got it to just be in the same room with us and talk to us was insane. So you're definitely going to want to stick around for that. I can't wait to see it.
Is it Lillian Dube?
So close yet so far.
Okay.
Although we love Lillian Dube. Nothing wrong with
She
her.
is excellent. For only 1 rand a day. Death should not be something that you have to worry about. Or 1 rand a day.
Yo, she's balling off of that one bag. Like she's sorted for life.
She is.
Cheers, guys.
All right. All right. Thanks, Lebang. We'll check in with you later in the day today at 11 o'clock on cliffcentral.com. And also next week, she'll be back on the show here. So we got lots of stuff to get into on the Burning Platform. As I said, Brett Herron, Neil De Beer will be our guests. We've got to talk about the city of Cape Town. We'll see what the big issues are. And I've also got an email here from somebody called Nikita who wants to know if we can address 2 things on the Burning Platform this morning. So Pumi and I return with the Burning Platform and our special guests next. Stick around. cliffcentral.com on Earth. It's Thursday already. Yes. What happened here? Do you suffer from collectivism?
I've got this love affair with French antiques.
Do you have an obsession with objects?
This is a King's African rifles bayonet.
Are you a fanatic? A devotee? Are you someone exhibiting enthusiasm or strong passion?
I've got like 4 or 5 really big trunks in the garage that are full of my Christmas decoration collection.
Cliff Central dispenses a weekly dose of collectomania. Join me as I talk to compulsive collectors. Fascinating.
Then you get the limited editions that were like 100 made worldwide.
Possibly a little weird.
So I have a collection of collections.
Collectomania, Mondays on the Gareth Cliff Show. Brought to you by SA Gold Coin Exchange and the Scoin Shop.
The Bitcoin market can be unpredictable. Instead, invest in a great economic quarter by using a bit of your coin to get a Nando's quarter chicken and any single side for only 49 rand. Nando's. Fire it up.
This is cliffcentral.com. On a Thursday morning around this time, you get to join us when we talk through some of the big issues, the current affairs that are interesting to everybody and the things that people are talking about. And this morning, we're not going to waste your time. We're going straight to the city of Cape Town and what's going to be happening there in the upcoming elections. And there is an important job up for grabs. It's not the kind of job most people would want because it's work. It's hard work. But we have 2 gentlemen who are going to battle it out to run Cape Town as the mayor of Cape Town. And we're pleased to have them both here. We'll get to them in a second. Pumi Mashiko is, of course, here. This is brought to you by Nando's. and is the one place we don't have to worry about how hot and heavy it gets, because, with Nando's, it's always spicy. Even the lemon and herb version is bound to keep you in exactly the place you want to be. So, lots to talk about this morning. Let me start off with Brett Herron, who is from the Good Party. He is a lawyer by profession, served in the Executive City Office of Cape Town for almost a decade. He led the implementation of Africa's most successful bus rapid transit system, the My City Bus, and has been responsible for transport, urban development, spatial planning, and housing. He, of course, resigned from the DA in 2018 after the caucus blocked affordable housing projects that he had initiated and championed. So he is no longer a big fan of the DA at all, but he was elected a member of the Provincial Parliament of the Western Cape and serves as a member of the Human Settlements, Transport and Public Works departments, and Environment and Development Planning as well on the standing committees. He's a passionate champion of integrated, affordable housing, efficient and sustainable urban forms, and urban connectivity. That's a long list of really hard jobs, Brett, and now you want to go for an even harder job. Are you a sucker for punishment?
Some may say so, Gareth. Good morning, Gareth and Pumi. Yes, some may say so, but I think, as you said right at the beginning, or maybe you didn't say it outright, but it's the way I interpreted it. It is a hard job. It's a tough job. Many people wouldn't want it, but it's a huge privilege, and with privilege comes a huge amount of responsibility. And
right.
You can't live in a city like Cape Town, which has got so many amazing things going for it, but also so many communities suffering with neglect. And if you love the city as much as I do, you don't sit back. You step up and you say, I would like to get involved.
Well, thank you for making some time for us this morning. I'd also like to welcome Neil De Beer. Hey, Neil, how are you? Hey, Neil.
Hey, good morning, Gareth I'm very well. Good morning.
Good. Neil, you are the leader of the United Independent Movement, and you announced that you also want to be mayor of Cape Town. And tell us a little bit about you, because you said it all came to a point last year when you realized the wisdom of the late President Nelson Mandela is that he died twice, physically, of course, and then also dying in the ANC. And for you, politics is not something that you're unfamiliar with, but give us a little bit about your background so we know something about you.
Oh, good morning, and good morning to Brett. Good to see him. I'm seeing it. Me and him look a bit tired, but we're okay. Coming to you from a bright morning in Umtata, my home ground. So I'm in Molweni Umtata. So on a blitz tour across the country, Gareth, 8 cities in 12 days, and spent an unbelievable evening last night with the Xhosa Kingdom, where I grew up in exile. So I'm a person that joined Umkhonto weSizwe in 1988.
Yeah.
So I'm more a soldier of heart. I'm a battle commander, so there's a lot of things I understand. 32 years in the ANC, served in the intelligence services, and ran a couple of projects in Africa, was seconded to the African Union. So ran about 53 countries' economy at one stage for 2 years in Addis Ababa. And I'm a businessman. I currently run a world fund, which is an international fund that invests approximately $5 billion per year in 32 countries in Africa. We are based in Spain, Barcelona. I'm an entrepreneur. But more than that, I'm just a fighter and a person that's been in 32 years of politics, but decided one morning that there's just a lot of crap in this country and that it's time to bang these people back into order. So I'm an ordinary man, and that's it.
So Neil, what makes you want to run for mayor of Cape Town? It sounds like you've got a full plate of stuff to do already. You've got a lot of experience under the belt. Well, why would you want to run for mayor of Cape Town? What's that all about?
Well, because Cape Town is absolutely in a total turmoil. It's living in a rubbish bubble, and the people are tired of being lied to. So it's very simple. This city doesn't work for you. So I don't know where we sit in a Cape Town, which is my great home, which is Brett's home ground, and you drive around where we drive around, by the way, and that is you go into Elsie's, you go into Mitchell's Plain, there where I grew up, and you see absolute dismay. And then you go sit in Bishop's Court and you go, am I in the same city? So I decided I'm going to climb in there because, number one, the biggest problem we've got is poverty and crime. So I'm going to take on head-to-head the gangsterism, which I have been, by the way. I have my own specialized unit, 32 guys and girls, been going out in the streets for 2 years with our bulletproofs and guns, and we're clearing the city. So I got involved because you got to lead. You can't talk about it.
That's interesting, because that's one of the things that I don't think many of the parties have actually tried to get involved in. It's too dangerous, it's too much work, and the costs outweigh the benefits. But I mean, that's from a politician's point of view, I think. I'd like to get into some more of the details of what it is that you both want to do. I mean, I know fighting crime is a big part of your story, Neil, and yours, Brett, we'll get into in a moment, because what you've done already, you've got a bit of a track record there in terms of running projects like My City Bus. So we can talk a little bit about that too. But I'm sure that Pumi, who's very rational about these things, we had 2 mayoral candidates for Johannesburg talking to each other the other day, and they were very polite with each other. I hope that you two aren't going to be polite if you disagree. Pums, where do you think Cape Town's biggest issues are, and what do you think these 2 mayoral candidates in Cape Town need to know?
Look, I think Neil sums it up quite wonderfully, because Cape Town has this dichotomy. There are 2 Cape Towns, and one that works splendidly for one group of people, and another part of Cape Town that really doesn't care about a huge chunk of the residents of Cape Town. But so look, I think the thing I'm most interested in for both of you, you come from other parties, you come from bigger parties. Why do you think going it alone is the way to go? I mean, Good is a smaller party, and Neil, you're starting a party. Is it not better to kind of fix it from the inside? Do you think you can get there from the outside?
Brett, you start off. Tell us about what you think Good has that your former home, the DA, doesn't have. And listen, guys, I echo Pumi's sentiments about the fact that going it alone shows that some kind of citizen action is what's required here. And I like the fact that you're both not afraid to go it alone. But why do you think that's going to work? Answer Pumi's question, Brett. You go first.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I don't see it as going it alone. I see it as walking the correct path. So stepping out of what was definitely not the correct path, or a party that was on the wrong path, and being true to both what we promised to the voters and being true to ourselves. So Neil's correct. I mean, and Pumi's correct. We have a city which has all the ingredients to be the most amazing city in the world, where we can address our history and our past and the neglectful circumstances in which many people live in. But we need a government that has the will to do so. And you ask why don't you try from the inside? You have to be inside a party that fundamentally believes that it has a responsibility, a duty, and would like to address those conditions on the Cape Flats, where parks are broken, so broken that actually play equipment kills children, where sewage is flowing into people's homes, where council rental accommodation is falling apart. That part is just neglected, and there's no will in the DA to deal with that. And so I mean, we did try from the inside. I bumped heads for a very long time, and the final straw was, promising in a 2016 manifesto that we would deliver affordable housing in well-located areas. I went out and did that. Launched 11 sites within the city centre in Woodstock and Salt River, which surrounds our city centre. And the DA caucus said no. I was told in my last caucus meeting that I attended that spatial transformation is a swear word. Now, spatial transformation includes fixing all of those problems on the Cape Flats. And if that is a swear word in the DA, then I was in the wrong party.
Brett, you're breaking my heart. What are these things you're telling us of your former party?
I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you why the 25th of October 2018 was the last caucus I attended, when I tried to persuade the caucus to support an affordable housing project on the Salt River market site, which is in Salt River. And the caucus came up with all kinds of excuses as to why it shouldn't happen. And then I was told by the deputy caucus leader that spatial transformation is a swear word. the very interesting thing is that I'd never used the words spatial transformation in the presentation. I was motivating for affordable housing in the inner city.
Neil, do you want to have a go at Pumi's question?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. I think we are gatvol, Pumi. Unomslanje happened to new mum. We are tired of people that come from politics. So the politicians there, the people here, Nomslanj. So plain and simply, all these politicians are rehashing themselves. They are all ex-politicians, and now they're wearing different color t-shirts. But it's the same people who's been sitting for 27 years, who's been slalapansing on their backside, promising 5 years at a time, 5 times now to do something. And at the end of the day, in isiXhosa, they end up with dololo. So plain and simply, you cannot sit in a city that has got all the people young upper east sides, what's a front end, and then sit here met hierdie podcast, where the people are saying, no, but I am going to fight crime. I'm going to fight. And then they sit in a council meeting eating Kentucky, and then they want to come back to us and they want to say, but we will fix Khayelitsha, Kayamandi, Langa. What a disgrace that you are currently sitting in a camp called COVID in Khayelitsha where they don't have water. No water. They've got to walk 4 kilometers.
I just want to jump in here and say to both of you, because I hear you complaining about stuff that is going on, and that's fair enough. You know a little bit about this, Brett, but Neil, coming from the outside, you know, I'm not a politician either, and I can sit here and moan about them. It's part of my job. But Cape Town, as awful as it may be to some of us, and as outrageous as the inequality might be to some of us, is run better, ironically, than any other city in the country. They have no. We could say, listen, I'm not standing up for the current regime there at all, but it is a better run city. On the books, it's better run. It's been given clean audits internationally. It has been praised for being one of the few municipalities in this country that's actually got some money in the bank, and where people are paying their taxes, and where things mostly work. Listen, nothing in this country works 100%, and there isn't another city that can claim to be better run than Cape Town in South Africa. Or am I wrong? So it's easy for us to sit here and criticize it. Okay, tell me which cities run better.
I don't think, Gareth, it's about
Let's tell us, because he's from the inside.
No, yeah, look, I mean...
You were there for 10 years.
I was there for 10 years, and yes, when I was there, we got 4 clean audits on the road. It was the first time that Cape Town had ever achieved that. But you can't measure whether something is well run by sticking to the rules. I mean, the fact that you get clean audits or unqualified audits is a good measurement that you are sticking to the rules, but it's not a measurement that you're actually delivering services. So yes, I mean, Patricia de Lille, when she was the mayor, used to say, when she got that clean audit, the Auditor General used to say to her, every time you don't praise a fish for swimming. So to say that Cape Town is the best run city because it is clean on the books, first of all, assumes that the books are accurate, and I can show you many pieces of paper that I've received since I've left, which shows that yes, the Auditor General is giving clean and unqualified audits, yet there's stuff going on that is corrupt. But secondly, that's not the measurement, Gareth. The measurement is how people's lives change.
Okay, but again, compared to what? I mean, which municipality in the country is better run? I'll ask the question again, because there is huge net immigration into Cape Town for a very specific reason, because rich and poor people alike understand that is a place where mostly, again, not 100%, we're not talking about utopia, that doesn't exist. Mostly things are better run than in other parts of South Africa. That's why people move into Cape Town and move out of other places.
So I think, I mean, look, if you want to compare to other South African cities, then on the books in terms of clean audits, yes, great, Cape Town is getting clean audits, but clean audits don't measure everything, as I say. And so I wouldn't want to lead a city that compares itself to Joburg and says, okay, we're better than Joburg, or we're better than Pretoria or Tshwane or Nelson Mandela Bay. Let us be a city that actually addresses the needs of the people who are living with sewage running through their homes, with no public transport. I mean, don't tell those people that this is a well-run city.
So I understand where you're coming from, and the heart is in the right place for both of you. And there's no denying that all South Africans feel in some way that we wish we could be better. We wish we could be delivering better. We wish we could be delivering for everybody. But I also then wonder what that means in real time. What does it mean? For you, Brett, you left the DA because you're saying the caucus became your problem. So how are you going to make sure with proportional representation and everything else that's going on that you are able to push your policies if you get the vote, if you get enough vote? Will you be able to work with the people around you who obviously don't have the political will to push those policies? Can you do that?
Well, I mean, you can do it if they share the vision. And if they don't share the vision, if you have a majority in a council, then you don't, then they're the opposition. So the people that are surrounding me in good all share this vision. We campaign under 4 very simple messages. Spatial justice is what started good. Social justice, economic justice, and environmental justice. And you'll find all of our candidates are fully committed to that. And if we are a majority or form part of the majority, those will be the things that we will be, those justice pillars will be what we govern under. So, I left a party where my colleagues didn't share the visions or didn't even share the commitments that we made in the 2016 election campaign that was articulated in a manifesto. So, yes, I think we can achieve it if we have the vote and if we are a majority or part of a majority where those visions are the red lines that we all agree on.
Do you think you can get the vote?
I think so. I think Neil used the word, and it's a beautiful word, and it's completely appropriate. People are gutful. I mean, the DA have run Cape Town for 15 years now, and I would love to take you just for half a day through communities with, as I said, park equipment that's broken. A child actually 2 months ago went to play in a park. It was so badly managed, the moving parts fell off the hinges, and he was crushed to death. Sewage flowing through homes.
Okay,
roads with more potholes than roads. So it's easy to
let's not go back
down one more question.
The road. Yes.
Can I ask a question, Neil? Having been in the ANC for so many years before, and now sitting here saying, I'm starting something new with new values, new systems, but you know that people vote for the ANC, people vote for the DA. What is it that you think will make people stop voting the way they've voted all this time and vote for you?
I'm the Gareth Cliff story.
You're ready.
I know Gareth for quite some long time. Gareth did it. Gareth got hot full of a system. Gareth got blocked everywhere because no one wanted to hear the truth. So welcome, Gareth Cliff. So, I'm Gareth.
Pumi makes a good.
I got tired of the system.
But that's about
tired of lies.
Neil, that's about
tired of people paying lip service.
That's about you. I want to know why. Pumi asks, why do you think people will vote for you?
They're voting.
They are?
They're voting for me. Of course they are. I would not have got this far by having more than 1.3 million people log on daily now to see Neil de Beer speak. On an average Facebook, I get linked on 390,000 people. We are 26 days old, Brett, and we've got 9,500 members registering, 1,000 a week. I'm 26 days old. I'm putting 329 councillors on the 1st of November into 8 metros. I am standing very simply and saying, that man you see in there in orange is not my enemy. I know him very well. I'm an ex-spy. I actually know. So here's the point. Let me finish, Gareth. This man's boss, Patricia de Lille, I know her very well. She went from PAC to DA. Patricia was the one that screamed daily, where's the money of the firearms? Now she's a minister. The people that I carry dockets about sits across her every day in a Logotla. So what we've got here, no attacking. I'm saying Herman Mashaba, Patricia de Lille, Musi Mayamani, these are people, Helen Zille, these are people that we grew up with. But the question is, at the end of the day, what are we going to do to change the person on the ground's life? Now,
so if you all agree, Neil, why not form a coalition? Why not form one party with all of your support bases to be able to be strong enough to take out the competition?
Well, it's very simple. I made a declaration 3 weeks ago and I stick with it. Number one, I have approached various parties and I've asked them, we all want to fight crime. We all want to fight poverty. We all want corruption to end. This is the mantra now. But here's a question. When you go into power, and here's the story, Gareth. I'm sorry. But in politics today, I am telling you, and I think Brett will agree, we cannot fight this battle alone. I agree. Coalition governments are the next step. The only way we are going to survive fighting this draconian beast of the ANC. By the way, it's not the ANC anymore. It's not my ANC. When Mandela died, it ended. So plain and simply, I want to ask Brett, I want to ask the Cape Coloured Party, the Cape Independence Party, because I'm talking about my city. The only way we're going to end up is coalition. But I vehemently have a couple of disagreements with the Good Party. It's my right. I am not going to sit with them because there's just a couple of differences. But the essence, I don't agree, I don't disagree with them. But I have decided I will never negotiate with the EFF. I will never negotiate with the ANC for power. Never. They want to. They will. I don't know what Brett's opinion is.
Can I just ask you quickly?
I am not going to negotiate with them. They are the enemy.
I'm first of all, I'm really impressed with what you're doing on social media. And even Sean here says you're doing really well on social media. You're the only politician that has even tried to exploit TikTok. So well done on that front. But can I just ask you, for the purposes of all of us who don't know enough about you this morning, how is it that you fell out with the ANC? I mean, you say that they died when Madiba died and all that stuff, but like, what was your basic disagreement with them? Where did you fall off the ANC train?
17 December 2017, Nasrec conference, we're about to elect a president. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, there's a discussion. What happens at an ANC conference is you do the politics and then you do the policies. The policies become the fundamental policy of that party. And when that party wins government, it becomes the policy of government, Gareth. And I'm sitting there in that conference at Nasrec, and they're about to now agree on policies so that they can now win the election and become government and enforce. And they brought up two policies in that conference. And then at that stage, as a businessman, but as a member of the ANC's provincial membership representation, because ordinary members can also be there, I looked at them and I said to them, are you losing it?
What were the policies?
You're about to now put two policies in our document. One, land without compensation.
Yeah.
And the nationalization of the Reserve Bank.
Okay.
I said, here, get yourself an ice cream. Are you crazy? This is economic suicide. Maar jy's mal, man. And I said, if you do this, in Afrikaans, jy's moer toe. Jou dololo. And as true as hell, Gareth, they go and adopt the policies. Now, what did it bring us at the end of the day? It's not a land debate. It is an economic debate. And there, Brett will agree. Cape Town needs isibenza. It needs jobs, Gareth. Now, can I tell you why they emigrate? Can I tell you why half of Transkei is currently in Ikapa? Can I tell you why? They are there because there is a euphoria attitude that there's jobs in Cape Town. I'm sitting in Umtata right now in the Transkei. There's no jobs here.
Yeah.
So what's my attitude? Brett, I'll tell you, I'm going to give you a tip. Cape Town, in my attitude under mayoralship, will in actual fact invest Ja, nou nie 'n skrik kry nie, Brett. I'm going to put part of our budget into doing what we will call intercity trade. Wow. So Cape Town is actually going to start doing intercity trade with East London, Port Elizabeth, and cities like Mthatha, where we are going to stipulate our reverse economies so that the people in Mthatha do not have to emigrate to Cape Town and then sit there and have
this immigration term, hold up. I really have to call us all out on this particular one. This idea of immigration is such an apartheid term because it's a term that says that there are Bantustans and you belong here. South Africa belongs to all of us. So your opportunity to move from one place to another has nothing to do with immigration. But the fact that as a South African, you have a right to be in any city in South Africa or any rural place in South Africa without being made to feel bad about the fact that you have moved from one place to the other. This immigration term, guys, you're skating on very thin ice here.
Sure. No. I'm here. I'm actually sitting here. I had a meeting with most of the businessmen in Mthatha. So take immigration, call it migration, economic migration between two cities. That's a better word.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is,
sorry, guys. I want to give you I want to give you one easy run here quickly because I don't want us to start polemics and rhetoric. I don't want us to all start, giving our political positions without any need for us to call it to order. Just let me give you an easy one here for both of you. What's wrong with Alan Winde, and what do we think of him?
It's Brett's friend.
That's not my friend. I think you can ask Alan Winde. He would also say that we're not friends.
All right, so
Sorry,
tell us why. No, sure. So tell us why you think he's not your friend, and what you think he's doing badly, and how we could improve things for the people of Cape Town, just based on what he's not doing right. Let's give you the easy low blow first.
So let me say that, I've known Alan Winde for quite a while, and now I'm in an opposition party in the legislature. And Alan Winde now likes to govern by announcements. He likes the PR and the spin. But if you scratch below all of those announcements, there's no substance to them. There's no feasibility studies. There's no strategy. There's a lot of announcements that have no substance. He announced this grand scheme called the Western Cape Safety Plan with a PowerPoint presentation. And when I asked for the plan, which he was allocating 1.3 billion rand to, it took about four weeks to get a draft document. That's all that exists. 1.3 billion is allocated to a safety plan that his government doesn't even understand. I'm telling them what's in that safety plan because I've read what the city of Cape Town, who's the implementer of that safety plan, has adopted. And when he promised police officers to communities that are ravaged by crime, what he's giving them is learner law enforcement officers armed with pepper spray in the 10 most deadly areas in the city of Cape Town. So that's just a false hope and a false promise and creates a false sense of security. He announced that he was going to procure vaccines for the Western Cape, an opportunistic announcement at the height of our pandemic when people were panicking. When you ask questions about what he's done and you get the list, they've written to a few consulates and they've made 2 phone calls, one to Pfizer and one to J&J. They're already providing the vaccine to South Africa. I can go on. It's just unbelievable that, the media loves him. The media loves him. I don't know why, but if you scratch below the surface, the announcements that are made are not supported by any real strategy or any real intervention. There's going to be no outcome for 1.3 billion rand spent in 10 crime hotspots in Cape Town with learner law enforcement officers with 6 weeks training put into these gang-ridden areas with the idea that they can halve the murder rate. That's just bullshit.
All right. How about, I'm going to let you just answer one other question, and then I'll hand over to Neil, because I'm sure he's got some things to say about Alan Winde too. But Mo Rabbit says here, blah, blah, your leader, this is your leader, Brett, sold out for a minister's post. What do you say to that? Because Patricia has, she lost some of the pretty good reputation she had when she decided she was going to go and work inside Cyril's cabinet, because people are looking at that cabinet. First of all, she doesn't have a starring role. If anything, I think Patricia's public persona has probably suffered because she can't say so many things now that she's a minister, which she used to be able to say as someone outside the tent, pissing in, to put it in a crude, ugly metaphor. What do you say when people say your party is just a home for Patricia de Lille and a couple of other disgruntled people? How can you trust someone who would go and work with the ANC as a minister?
Well, let me say, I mean, Patricia, there's no deal between the ANC and Good. And Patricia was asked to serve, and you're right, it's not a glamorous role that she's got. She's got one of the toughest portfolios, public works and infrastructure. It's the department that was riddled with corruption and still is. It's the department that built in Kandla for 280 million rand. You know, it's the department that rented Rushabangu's office space for police headquarters. So she was asked to serve her country, not to serve the ANC. And you know, what rational South African who loves this country, who thinks they can make a contribution, who gets a call from the president and says, won't you please take on this task? What rational, patriotic South African will say, no, I'm not going to help this country? I mean, there's no agreement that we can't criticize the ANC. We contested fiercely against them in a by-election in Oudtshoorn in December last year, and we lost to them by 50 votes. They beat us by 50 votes. So we contest them in elections. We are an opposition party, but the president asked Patricia de Lille to serve her country.
I'm happy with that answer. Neil, your turn. Alan Windy, and then maybe you've got something to say about what your party's going to do right in that area. Go for it.
I've just decided I'm going to be so nice to Pumi from now on.
Yeah, you better.
You don't have to be nice to me. You don't
know
be
what
nice.
you're dealing with.
No, I'm just like that. I just love your style. So let me quickly tell you, Gareth, Pumi.
Yeah.
Brett, I think we need to go back to basics. I think we've become a country with cliches. I think we've become a country that dances more about celebrations. We've become a country of events, Brett. A child dies, we have a funeral, we tell the people we're going to do something about it, and then the next day it just goes on. I'm actually a normal citizen. I'm no one else. I just have a hell of a platform. And what I did was I said to myself, I come from Khayelitsha. I know Mitchell's Plain, and I also know Bishop. I know it. Cape Town, Brett, is our city. But here's my question. When councillors steal money, it's not corruption, it's stealing, it's theft. They don't go to jail. So what we are trying to do is say to ourselves the 5C concept. That's it. Alan Windy is the premier. I sent him a note the other day. I said to him, I like Nescafe, 1 sugar and a bit of milk, because you as premier are going to have a lot of coffee with me as mayor, elke maandag. And then me and you are going to sit and we are going to have to get on, even if we just fake it. But what we cannot do is not look at the harsh reality. Now, remember, I'm the president of the UIM. I've got 8 metros, but Ikaya. Brett will agree. At the end of the day, we've got a beautiful city. But what is wrong? So let's fix what's wrong. And one of it is the poverty that Alan and them, I am sorry, they're living in a bubble. Now, I get chastised when I call the new mayoral candidate of Cape Town of the DA a child. Whoa,
who's that? Who's their
bad.
candidate? I don't know who their candidate is, who the child is. Tell me who that is. Who is it? Who's their candidate? I don't know.
His name is Jordan Hill Lewis. That's
double barrel name. But here's the point. I got slammed by saying, how can you say the DA's mayoral candidate is a child? I said, I didn't mean he's a child. What I meant was, Gareth Pumi, he's 38 years old. 34. He was 16 years, 34. He was not even 16 years old before apartheid. I wasn't attacking that child. I was blaming the DA for putting up a lamb to slaughter.
He's the DA's shadow minister for finance.
So he can count. So he can count. Have you told him what is he going to do when he has to sit in front of the mongrels gang leader? What, is he going to count bullets or what? So at the end of the day, we need a fighting leader. We don't need someone that can sit back and speak to a person. Pumi, listen, mamela mam. We have such a diverse city. We have a twin city attitude. So I have now invoked, listen to these, because in politics, apparently, you've got to have acronyms. So because, if you say DPI, ESG, DT, CEE, they go, wow. So here it is. The UIM is starting something called the DPI, Direct Poverty Intervention. Direct.
That's. I'm sorry to hear that. I'm sorry to hear that you're already falling into the hole and the rut that politicians fall into. I'm reminded Margaret Thatcher used to say that politicians use infrastructure where the rest of us use roads. And that's one of the things. That's one of the things that we struggle with in South Africa. So I also want to talk with you guys about the playing field. So a couple of weeks ago, when the list nominations closed, what looked like the city of Cape Town being up for grabs, particularly for the DA, because they had fielded everybody and the ANC was nowhere to be seen. And then on Tuesday, was it Tuesday or Monday, we hear from the CEO of the IEC that they're now extending the deadline. So it means that the ANC has the opportunity to field people. So they probably will come in there and will come in with a strong showing.
Can I just ask this question?
Okay.
Sorry, Pums, just based on what you're saying here, isn't it atrocious that the party that has the most people voting for it in South Africa for the last 25 years cannot get their shit together and actually get their candidates in on time or pay the fees that have to be paid? Can we just stop for a minute and take stock of this? Like, their whole business is politics. The entry level thing you have to do is submit your candidate list. What a disaster is Luthuli House, and what must be going on there for these people to not even have been able to get that right? It's appalling.
We were talking earlier, Gareth, about what people who work at Luthuli House do. Isn't it? That's what Khalima Motlanthe tells us. They couldn't get their lists in because those people who work at Luthuli House were on strike.
Haven't been paid.
Disaster. So to Pumi's question, what do you guys think of this, and how do you feel about the IEC basically giving the ANC another chance, which wouldn't have happened for your parties, I'm sure?
Can I go first? I am, I was, when the Constitutional Court order was announced, I spent the whole weekend debating on Twitter around what this meant, because I interpreted it as reopening the whole process. And there is some merit in reopening the process because there was no final voter registration weekend, which was supposed to be on the 31st of July and the 1st of August. That was cancelled by the IEC, I think mostly because they thought they were going to get the postponement, but they used COVID as the reason. But there were many voters, new voters, who were not able to register. And so that part was unfair, that there was a sudden promulgation of the election without a final opportunity for voters to register as new voters or to correct their registration. Because in local government, you have to vote where you live. I mean, you can't, you have to live in a ward, in a municipality, in the right municipality. So for that reason, I agree that the voter registration period had to be reopened. And if the voter period reopens and new voters are entitled to be registered, then the Constitution gives them the right to stand as candidates. Section 19 says that you have the right to be a candidate. And Section 158 of the Constitution says the same thing, that every voter has the right to stand to be a councillor. So as soon as you open the voter registration period, it follows, I think, constitutionally correctly, that the candidates process had to reopen. So, I mean, it is the ANC couldn't get their shit together. We are a small party in terms of numbers of staff, and we managed to submit all our candidates and all our lists. But I must tell you, I would rather go into an election contest and to beat the ANC on the ballot paper than to have them excluded because they were negligent or their staff were on strike, or they captured incorrectly. So I'd rather that they be on the ballot paper and we beat them because the voters reject them than because they were not there.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Do you have something to say about this, Neil?
Gareth, I think it works both sides. I think at the end of the day, we could not be surprised that the ANC was going to get anything except what they wanted. I think we are naive. I think the African National Congress is incompetent. I think they can't even pay their staff because people don't want to give them money anymore. So, with the new law that you've got to declare what you give parties in public, I think that no one wants to give them money. So they've got a cash flow problem. You want to know what's going on in Lutuli? Nothing. So at the end of the day, we are sitting currently, and we as the UIM are also going to benefit because we have now noticed that the more all this rubbish is coming out, the people are actually, Gareth, Pumi, seeing the UIM as an alternative. So when you speak to people and you say, why did you vote for the DA? They said, well, that was the only alternative. More and more people are coming ahead and saying, we'll step up. We might be speaking the same language, but it comes about leadership, Gareth. Leadership is the difference between what we've got and what we had, and that's it. We all have a different style of leadership. My leadership is about less talk and more implementation. So I must again vehemently with my stunning sister Pumi disagree. You can speak about Margaret Thatcher's quotes every bloody day, but at the end of the day, if you're not going to put juju tanks and water, you're not going to collect electricity, you are not going to stop people from dying, and you're not going to give people the basics, then what have we fought for 27 years for?
How? I think the more important thing for me is how. How will you do that?
Get it done.
How
Get off your ass and go do it. Go do it.
I haven't. So what I haven't heard from you, what I haven't heard from you today, is I haven't heard. So I've heard we want to fight crime. I want to know how. We had a candidate here last week saying to us that you can call out the people, you can put the reports together without the NPA on your side, without the Department of Justice, without this, without that, coming from national and that support, you can't do anything. So how will you do all of the things that you say you want to do?
Pumi, not by speaking about it. I'm doing it. Ask Brett. I have a unit that was advertised and that was given a show. I was on carte blanche. Derek came with us. What did we do? We took policing back to the street, Pumi. If the community starts rising up against crime, then at the end of the day, we can battle crime. So what did Neil de Beer do? I started something called CRU, the Crime Reaction Unit. The CRU are taking people in communities, neighborhood watchers, who normally walk around with a torch and a bib. We are now training them in actually self-defense skills, the law, Brett. So what you've got now is the police are not the answer, Pumi, being an ex-person in uniform. Metro police and law enforcement aren't the answer to crime. Community-based policing is where it should start. So it's easy. Go there, motivate the people that they need to firstly patrol their own street, man. Your own street, your own block, your own town, your own city. So we are not talking as the UIM about fighting crime. We're leading it. Poverty intervention is not about giving a food parcel. It is about stimulating in communities the growth of their own veggie patch. We are doing it. So we might be small, but I remember 5 breads and 2 fishes. So that's our attitude. Stop talking. And I know, Pumi, we have an elephant to eat, but we may eat this elephant piece by piece. And it's about leadership.
Okay, so guys, I'm getting a little frustrated, not by what either of you are saying here, because I understand that we've got major problems in Cape Town. And here's a very simple question, and I think this is kind of out of left field, but it strikes me as something that a lot of people are dealing with at the moment. Gareth here says, do either of you support, now I just want a straight yes or no answer, the position of mandatory vaccinations as has been pushed by the current Premier, Alan Winde? How do you feel about that? Do either of you, you do not support mandatory vaccination?
No.
Okay,
No.
And you, how do you feel about that, Brett?
I support the right of people to choose. But I think that when people make a choice, there are also some consequences. And like there are consequences for people who choose not to vaccinate their children currently against childhood diseases. So You're not going to be able to travel easily. I think I support the restrictions that come with not being vaccinated.
Do you guys think we still have, as a result of the legacy of this country's history, do you think we still have more race issues in Cape Town than we do in any other part of the country?
Yeah,
Brett,
I think we do. I think we do.
Okay.
I think we have a government. I think the people of Cape Town are generous of spirit, would like others to succeed, would like our city to do better, are deeply uncomfortable with joblessness and homelessness, and people living in shacks instead of homes. So I think that the people of Cape Town are really connected to each other and bridge those racial divides. But I think we have a government in the city of Cape Town that drives those racial divides because they benefit politically from them. So I think that we have a racial problem, but it's not necessarily amongst the majority of the people of Cape Town. It's currently in our administration, which is really, I think, divorced from the spirit of the city of Cape Town and the soul of the city of Cape Town, which is so much better, so much kinder, so much more connected than our government is.
Okay, what do you think of the race problems in Cape Town? Do you think they are worse than anywhere else in the country, or do you think that they're better, Neil?
Gareth, I don't know if Brett understands the TRC, where I was.
Mm-hmm.
I was there because I had to testify.
Right.
We failed there. We got to the truth, we never reconciled. We got to T. So what happens to us is 27 years we've been living in this Rainbow Nation bubble. I am the only politician, and I'll tell Pumi that now, I'm the only politician that has traveled this country through it 3 times now in the back of a combi. And I'm on my way now again, 12 days. Cape Town cannot be seen as an isolation of the absolute pandemic, which is called racism in this country, that is still alive. So what we've seen is that, in my opinion, and I come from fighting it to now, sorry to tell you, on the street, we are now more racially divided than we were pre-94. And it's because people like Frikkie Malema, those people that are politicians, so Julius Frikkie Malema and the rest of these guys, they are the people that thrive on racial divide. Whereas you speak to the ordinary person like I do in Kabeja, in Buffalo City, and today, we just want to get on with it. We want to go on with life, and we want to be South African first. So actually, our biggest enemies are the people that you vote in to serve us. Cape Town, sorry, racial divide is there. And we still live in pockets of race. We live in pockets of class. And that's what people like Brett and myself have to conquer. We need one city, Gareth, not a separated city.
Right, so,
but it's not just there.
I ask that question not because I think it's the biggest issue, but it's a thing the media keep harping on about. And I do think it's worth addressing. And I'm just pleased to have answers. I mean, listen, it's not going to go away, but it seems like that's the only sexy issue for them. And there are lots of things going on in Cape Town. So here's your chance to brag. And we've got another 4 or 5 minutes left of the show. So Brett, why would you make the best candidate? Tell us basically your proudest achievement so far, the one that you would like to be.
Elevator pitch.
Yeah, your elevator pitch.
Yeah, and you have, guys, 2 minutes each, ne?
She's going to keep time. She did this with Herman Mashaba the other day.
Let me start by saying, I entered politics in 2008, 2009, after being a student politician, like NUSAS kind of activating for the end of apartheid. And then Madiba was released from prison and we had the Rainbow Nation. And I got on with my life as a lawyer. And then I read the book by Andrew Feinstein about the arms deal. And I was so shocked by what I read that I said to my family, either I have to leave or I have to get involved. So I'm involved, and it's a huge sense of privilege to be involved. This city of Cape Town is an amazing city. It has all the ingredients for it to deal with the past and to build a modern city for the future where people can actually work and have dignified lives for themselves. We have those ingredients, but we don't have the political will right now to harness those ingredients and make the city better. So with me, as mayor of Cape Town, you're getting not a professional politician, but a professional, and you don't have to be a professional to lead, but I have other experience other than being in politics. I'm deeply committed to eradicating this apartheid spatial divide that exists prominently in Cape Town, and that was the reason why I left the DA, and to building a city where those that are neglected and left behind start to see themselves as part of the city. So we need to fix things like roads, yes, infrastructure, Pumi, and we need to fix parks, and we need to fix amenities. But I'm going to wrap up and quickly say, in fixing all of those things, we also create jobs, because infrastructure build, repair, and maintenance directly creates jobs.
Okay, your turn for the elevator pitch, Neil.
I don't know how you got Herman Mashaba to do it in 2 minutes.
He didn't. So far, the track record, you may be the first one to do it. 2 minutes. Let's see.
Stop crime. Stop corruption. Bring capital back to the people. Defend the Constitution with everything that we've got, and bring a little bit of faith. Bring hope. So plain and simply, the UIM is not going to do this party politics thing. I am not going to stand across the aisle and say what the good party did wrong, what the ANC did wrong. I'm going to tell you what the UIM wants to do right. So we are not going to play that game. We are going to implement what we say, and we are not going to do promises that we are going to break. So simply, we might start from ground. We might not be big, but at the end of the day, I represent now quite a lot of people. I'm not an ex-bitter ANC people. I'm actually just a citizen that loves my country, passionately love them. And it's time that we, the people, rise and we take over. Because let me quickly tell you, and I'm landing this plane now, Pumi, what we've got right now, let me tell you, anything that we do now is better than what we bloody will have today.
All right. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning. Listen, Neil, you definitely bring a lot of character to this thing. I hope that both of you get to exercise some of your skills in the world of politics, because God knows we need people, and those people are us. And I'm looking at two people here who both, between you, have experience and passion for what you do. You know what? Cape Town can only benefit from people who really want to improve things for the average person there, and I wish you both luck. Thanks for answering all of our questions.
May I ask one more thing, Gareth?
Sure. Yeah.
Brett, dude, can we have coffee?
with a little Nescafe with a little bit of milk.
That's it.
Anytime.
All right. Very good, Jen. Thank you so much. Pums, thank you very much. And we will see you all tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. bright and early. The Burning Platform returns next week for another round, and it's brought to you by Nando's.